We continue to explore the port berthing process, step by step, from anchorage through pilot boarding and into the movement toward the berth.
All right, let's see how it actually unfolds in practice.
Before the vessel even arrives near the port area, the agent has already submitted the vessel's arrival information to the port. Depending on the country, port authority, or terminal system, this may be called a call point. Pre-arrival information, notice of arrival, port call documentation, or vessel information submission.
So it's just different terminologies for the same thing, which really just means the port knows the vessel is coming?
Right. And along with that, they get the operational details they need to plan ahead: vessel size, draft, cargo type, next port of call, and other voyage information.
So by the time the vessel is actually approaching the port area, planning has already started on shore?
Correct. Now, as the vessel gets closer, the bridge and port control start talking actively. And this communication isn't limited to a simple permission to enter. It's about identification, establishing contact first. Before any movement or clearance even happens, the vessel makes that first call. Tema port control. Tema port control. Tema port control. This is motor vessel Kendra. Kendra. Inbound vessel approaching port limits, over. Motor vessel Kendra. Motor vessel Kendra. This is Tema port control. I read you. Change to channel 14. Over. Affirmative. Changing to channel 14. Over.
Once they switch channels, port control starts confirming details?
That's right. Different ports may assign separate VHF channels for traffic coordination, pilotage, tug operations, or terminal movements. Once they're on the working channel, port control begins confirming operational details. Because before movements can be properly sequenced, they may still need to verify identity, draft, cargo condition, position, and movement intentions, or even distinguish the correct vessel among several ships approaching. A lot of operational information is being confirmed in real time over VHF.
Right. It's constant back and forth. Thema port control. Thema port control. Thema port control. This is motor vessel Kendra. Kendra, channel 14, over. Motor vessel Kendra, this is Thema port control. What is your ETA and call sign? Over, port control. This is motor vessel Kendra, ETA time 1430 UTC, call sign 9 Golf Kilo Alpha 2, over. Motor vessel Kendra, state your present position and speed. Over, present position 05 degrees 12.4 minutes north. 000 degrees 08.1 minutes east, speed 12 knots, over. Confirm last port of call, over. Last port Abidjan, over.
And if radar or AIS isn't clear, maybe because of multiple inbound vessels, similar radar echoes, reduced visibility, or heavy traffic conditions, they cross-check through voice reporting. That's part of safe traffic management.
Which explains why sometimes they ask for bearing, distance, or even a course alteration.
Exactly. You'll hear follow-up corrections like, Kendra, radar contact unclear. Confirm bearing and distance from pilot station, over. Bearing 090 degrees, distance 1.4 nautical miles, over. Or, motor vessel Kendra, alter course to 090 degrees for identification and traffic separation, over. Roger, altering course to 090 degrees, over. Or even, Kendra, confirm your position in relation to the northern anchorage sector, over. We are number 3 inbound from north to south in the outer waiting area, over. That's the kind of back and forth that keeps things safe. At this stage, the vessel is not always immediately cleared to proceed into the port or even anchor. A number of things may still need to be coordinated first: traffic sequencing in the approach channel, berth availability, terminal readiness, and sometimes cargo or documentation clearances, especially if dangerous goods are involved. Port control may continue requesting operational details: cargo status, draft readings, or flag state confirmation. You may hear communication like, Kendra, report draft forward and aft, over. Draft forward 8.4 meters. Draft aft 8.8 meters, over. Confirm cargo on board and whether any dangerous goods declared, over. Containerized general cargo with hazardous cargo declaration, class 3, over. Your flag state is Liberia, correct? Over. Affirmative. Liberia flag state. over.
So all of this is happening before the vessel is even cleared inward?
Exactly, because before port control allows movement toward anchorage or inward transit, they need a clear operational picture of the vessel. And depending on the situation, the vessel may be instructed to proceed to anchorage, hold position outside the port limits, or maintain a drifting position in a designated waiting area.
Which means the vessel doesn't always just head straight into port.
Not necessarily. Listen to how the vessel may be instructed in 3 different situations. Motor vessel Kendra, proceed to designated anchorage and await further instructions, over. Motor vessel Kendra, maintain current position outside port limits. Remain on standby, over. Motor vessel Kendra, maintain drifting position in the designated waiting area. Further clearance will follow, over.
And even while the vessel is waiting, things are still happening behind the scenes?
Very much so. While the vessel is waiting, port control is actively coordinating everything in the background, checking berth availability, sequencing incoming and outgoing traffic, confirming terminal readiness, and completing any outstanding clearance requirements. And once everything is aligned, the vessel can move into the next phase. That's where pilot boarding and operational coordination begin.
So if the vessel had already gone to anchorage earlier, it would just be waiting there for final clearance?
Exactly. And once that clearance is granted, preparations begin for the vessel to get underway again. The next instructions are passed over VHF between the vessel and port control. Motor vessel Kendra, prepare to heave up anchor and proceed to pilot boarding ground, over. Port control, heaving up anchor. Anchor away, preparing to proceed to pilot boarding ground, over. Once the anchor is fully secured, the vessel proceeds under engine control toward the pilot boarding station. And this is also where port control starts bringing all the operational elements together: pilot station, tug services, terminal operations, and berth allocation.
So yes, the berth itself is already assigned before the vessel enters?
In most cases, yes. And that berth assignment is usually based on vessel size, draft, cargo type, and overall port priority. And although the process is generally similar worldwide, small operational differences still exist between ports. Things like VTS procedures, pilotage arrangements, and tug coordination methods. Now, as the vessel approaches the pilot boarding ground, communication becomes more focused on boarding preparations and navigational readiness. A typical exchange around this stage would be: Motor vessel Kendra, this is Tema port controlled. Confirm readiness for pilot boarding, over. Port control Kendra, ready for pilot boarding. Pilot ladder rigged, engines and steering tested, over. This is the moment when the pilot boat starts approaching the vessel.
And this part is handled very carefully.
Exactly, because wind, current, sea conditions, and vessel movement all affect the transfer. But as the vessel reduces speed, the pilot boat comes alongside and final positioning is adjusted to ensure a safe boarding operation. It's a delicate dance on the water.
Wow, I can actually picture that. And the pilot usually boards from the starboard side, right?
Most of the time, yes. Starboard side boarding is the most common international practice, although the port side may also be used depending on conditions and vessel orientation. The pilot boards using a pilot ladder secured to the ship's side, or sometimes a gangway if conditions allow.
Once on board, they head straight to the bridge?
Exactly. The pilot proceeds directly to the bridge, and communication with the captain begins immediately. The bridge exchange would typically go something like this. Good morning, Captain. I have the con for port entry. Good morning, pilot. You have the con under my authority. That's the handover moment.
So the pilot is now navigating the vessel?
Yes, but this part is important. The pilot directs the navigation and maneuvering of the vessel, while the captain still retains full legal command on board. The captain never gives up responsibility.
And the bridge team starts working under the pilot's instructions?
Correct. The bridge team executes helm orders, engine movements, and maintains communication with port control throughout the transit. As the vessel begins proceeding inward under pilotage, port control continues receiving movement updates over VHF.
And while the vessel is moving through the channel, port control is still monitoring everything live?
Continuously. Traffic movements, vessel speed, positioning within the channel, safe separation distances, all of that is being monitored in real time. Meanwhile, the pilot gradually adjusts course and speed, keeping the vessel aligned safely for the final approach toward the berth.
Is this where the vessel actually starts coming into the port itself?
Yes, with the pilot on board, the vessel is now being brought inward under controlled movement. While the bridge team executes instructions, port control monitors traffic, and the terminal prepares for arrival. From here, tug assistance is brought in where required to support the final maneuvering, and that leads into the next phase of the berthing process. At Maritime X, our aim is simple: to make maritime operations easy to understand through clear, visual storytelling. We take real-world maritime activity and turn it into learning experiences that are simple, engaging, and accessible to everyone, whether you are a student, cadet, or just curious. This is an ongoing project, and we're always working on the next video. You can support it by subscribing and sharing our content. All content is free on YouTube for learning and training.